was his friend, which came as some surprise. I spoke into his eyes, I thought you died alone, long time. Oh no, not me. I never lost control. Your face, so base.
Extraction failed.
You're all diamonds.
Yes, Metal Gear Solid 5 has arrived. It's time for Big Boss to jump into an open world and build an army.
Metal Gear, what a weird and bizarre series that often leaves me with more questions than answers. We'll get deeper into this story in a bit, but the basic premise is Big Boss has woken up after being in a coma for 9 years following the events of Ground Zeroes.
Those events almost wiped out Big Boss and his private military force known as the Diamond Dogs.
We're Diamond Dogs.
After reuniting with some old friends, he sets out to rebuild Mother Base and his forces in order to shut down Cypher, the mysterious organization behind the attacks.
We can crush Cypher, boss. And you can build the army that can do it.
Mother Base is your home of operations, but there's not a lot to do there except take a quick shower
More missions you complete.
and call in your chopper. Oh, and harass your soldiers, who do seem to enjoy it.
Welcome back, boss. Thanks for that, boss. Thanks for that, boss. Thanks for that, boss.
Your chopper is your aerial command center, where you can choose a mission or side op to go on and deploy into the field.
News from the support unit.
Be careful down there, boss.
Most of the time, your objective is to either extract a prisoner
That looks like the target.
or eliminate a target,
Good. You completed the objective.
and occasionally blow something up.
Good work.
Which might sound like it would get repetitive, but the sheer freedom you have in how you tackle each of those objectives is mind-boggling. Bajo, moving to an open world was absolutely the right decision for this series.
Definitely. And you're right, I found those first few missions quite repetitive, but that was because I was doing the same thing. Go in, drug everyone, get the objective, and then shoot my way out. But once you unlock some new gear to play with and realize you have such free reign over this big open world,
Analysis complete.
you soon find every base can be approached from almost any angle and with any style.
If you want to try for pure stealth and avoid everyone, do it. Or just go in guns blazing. Or why not just bring a tank?
Or just try to steal everything and everyone you can with the greatest, or depending how you look at it, the silliest piece of tech around, the Fulton Surface-to-Air Recovery System, which is a balloon.
Standing on the edge.
Oh, Hex, I could balloon all day, and I did, if only to hear their screams.
What a mess we made when it all went wrong.
Leave the rest to us.
Ballooning sheep is oddly compelling, isn't it, Bajo?
Indeed. But all that's just the tip of the tactical iceberg at your fingertips. Add in elements like day and night cycles and weather events, plus the huge assortment of tools and gadgets and buddies that completely change how you play, and you've got yourself quite the strategy sandwich.
Delicious. The buddies are great. You start with a horse that's nice and fast, which makes it a joy to ride, and it reminds me a lot of riding through Red Dead as I picked flowers and chased goats.
But then you get the puppy.
Now, you all know we're cat people, but that puppy, it's so cute.
I suspect you discovered a real diamond in the rough. The little polish. I say we got a true diamond dog on our hands.
Yes, but it doesn't stay cute for long because it grows up and that pup can then go on missions with you.
Still cute.
Yeah, it's still pretty cute. He's super useful since he can instantly spot any nearby enemy for you.
Enemy presence detected.
And also rip out their throats with a little doggy knife.
Oh.
Don't know why he needs a knife, he's got teeth, but there you go.
You'll also get Quiet, who can scout out enemy camps and provide sniper support.
Fire!
And finally, you'll get the Walker, which can be kitted out with a range of powerful weapons.
Those things look ridiculous to ride. But yes, combine your different buddy skills with all the other tools at your disposal, and the possibilities for how to approach any situation are near endless. Even by the time you finish the game, it's unlikely you've tried everything.
Yeah, no two people's playthroughs are ever going to be the same, which creates those great water cooler moments where you compare notes with other people's outings. I always like to try my best for stealth, but inevitably it all hits the fan and then I just do whatever it takes to get the mission done.
The shooting mechanics have come a long way. They're just excellent now. And at first I found myself being a bit more gung-ho and just raining down grenades and bombardments on a base. And it's often the easier way to go. But the game does encourage you to play stealthily, and it's fun to do so because those mechanics have also evolved and they're excellent. So you actually want to sneak about and challenge yourself. But most importantly, if you knock guards out, you can extract them and add them to your mother base staff. Haha, now you work for me.
And you're going to want to get yourself some decent staff, since mother base is your key to unlocking better gear.
Staff assigned.
As you play, you'll have to invest in building additional platforms and staffing them
Commencing platform construction.
in order to start developing more advanced weapons and equipment for you and your buddies.
It's such a satisfying gameplay loop to have what you do out in the field feed back to your mother base, and then what you do with your mother base feed back out to the options that you have out in the field.
Yeah, I always enjoy a bit of base building and metagame tucked into my games, Barjo. And mother base is just so epic. It's like 4 kilometers across once you get it built up.
You have arrived at your destination.
Yeah, it's crazy big, but I just wish there was more to do in there. You can really only interact with your mother base through menus, so it does feel a bit empty. But at least there is quite a lot to do in the menus, and the interface is snappy and it makes sense.
It's also the basis for the game's multiplayer system. Although multiplayer was still very temperamental when we played, with lots of server connection issues and trouble getting into a game. But it does seem like servers are getting better pretty quickly.
Yeah, you will still have to put in a lot of hours to unlock the multiplayer. But once you do, you can create your forward operating bases, which are essentially a whole separate mother base. You'll need to staff these with security forces and develop extra security measures to help protect it against invading players.
Of course, you can go and raid other players' bases to steal their resources and staff if you're successful. And apparently they can join in during your raid and try and stop you, although that never happened to us. It's a decent extra mode when it's all working. In the few games I played, it was really satisfying going into a player's base and just stealing all of their stuff.
Yeah, it adds a nice bit of endgame, but I think for most people it'll just be a slight diversion. And there are microtransactions too, which can go away. Thankfully, they don't lock away content and just speed up your base building. These kind of microtransactions always leave a sour taste in my mouth in a full-priced game like this.
I also wasn't a huge fan of the boss fights. I mean, they're the kinds of fights you see in a lot of Japanese-style games, but these just felt particularly clumsy and frustrating.
I know what you mean, they remind me a lot of those Dead Rising boss fights. They're scrappy and messy and hard, with lots of attacks that knock you down, and you never get a clear sense of how to actually beat them.
Yeah, they're just a bit unpleasant to play through. And I know Metal Gear boss fights are always vastly different from the rest of the gameplay, but for me here it felt a bit jarring.
Another thing Metal Gear is known for is that quirky, weird sense of humor, and normally I don't like it at all, but in this, I really warm to it. At times this game feels like a straight-faced military sim.
Go on.
But then you unlock a command to order your horse to poop, which I appreciate.
Come on. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's always hilarious watching animals get yanked up into the skies by a big balloon or stealing a tank right in the middle of a battle. There's just such a great attention to detail throughout the entire game that you'll find little gags and Easter eggs everywhere.
Yeah, this is one of those games which is made by people who know you're going to try and do stupid stuff and then reward you for it. But I think the best quirk of the game is the sound of soothing 80s hits that you stumble across. I love that you can take the tapes and play them whenever you want. Or get your chopper to blare specific songs as it comes into battle. You know you're in trouble when you hear Kids in America coming over the hills.
And of course, tactical espionage is always made better with some Spandau Ballet.
Come back again.
Alright, we should talk more about the story.
Let's. I knew going into this as someone who hasn't played all of the Metal Gear games in their entirety that there'll be some plot points that maybe I won't understand and I'd get a bit lost, which did happen. But I expected it at least to be a fully self-contained, coherent story, and it was not.
No. I mean, at times it does all seem quite normal and easy enough to follow, but at others it's like watching the fevered dreams of David Lynch. But even so, there's still such great attention to detail and style in how it's told.
Yeah, absolutely. Every bit of dialogue and every shot feels really considered, and I'm sure fans of the series will pore over every drop of story and every single reference.
The camera does love to linger on boob and butt shots when it gets the chance though, doesn't it?
Ah yes, quite the elite sniper, and pretty much the only female character in the game besides some sexy nurses. What do you think the significance is here, Hex?
I think probably some in-depth comment on the state of the modern military-industrial complex, Barjo.
They do try and justify her outfit though, Hex, because she breathes through her skin.
Right.
Apparently.
I also think that as the only major female character in the game, it's pretty disappointing that she's lumped in with a dog and a horse as a sidekick. And she actually has quite a strong and interesting backstory, but it can be pretty hard to take her seriously at times.
Yes. Well, a lot of the drama was lost on me overall, Hex, but I still found it a strange and compelling journey, and I wanted to see it through. Plus, it's a great looking game.
Yeah, it's quite spectacular. And I admire the fact that you can feel a director's touch to it. I mean, this is a game that's clearly been made the way Kojima wants it to be made.
Yes, I think the word you're looking for is indulgent. Like how the credits are at the start and end of every mission. I must have seen the words created and directed by Hideo Kojima about 200 times. I get it, Hideo. You made this.
Yeah, they took his name off the box, but you don't miss it in the game, that's for sure. One thing I did appreciate, though, was the restraint towards the cutscenes. I mean, they don't go on and on and on like they did in previous games.
Yeah, much of the story is now left to the side on cassette tapes.
Snake, I wanted to ask you about the man on fire. What do you remember from the hospital?
So a lot of the deeper story is optional for those who really want to delve into it.
The sprinkler started up.
Now, this sits near the start of the Metal Gear saga in terms of chronology, so there's a chunk of story before and after it that I'm sure resolves a lot of the questions that I was left with. But all the same, I got to the end of the game and was kind of like, really? Is that it? It just felt a little unresolved to me.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that if you're a newcomer to this series, you're going to be left feeling somewhat perplexed.
I may dwell in the dark, but I refuse to be judged by your standards. Traitor!
And now that we've had time to soak up Big Boss with new voice actor Kiefer Sutherland, what do you make of him, Hex?
I mean, don't get me wrong, I think Kiefer's great, but I just don't think his rather minimal dialogue really brought much to the game.
And I won't rest until we do.
Approaching Mother Base.
Boss, tell me like you used to.
I agree, I miss David Hayter. He just had this really gruff, gravelly way of doing the voice.
It's an endless series of proxy battles, fought by mercenaries and machines. War, and its consumption of life, has become a well-oiled machine.
But we should wrap this up. Hex, final thoughts?
I really loved it. I mean, the sandbox design is amazing and the freedom it gives you is exhilarating. Plus, it's a game that made me want to try and get into the other games in the series just so that I could learn more about it. So I'm giving it 4.5 out of 5 stars.
I've never been a big Metal Gear fan. I've just never really gelled with this series, but this is the first game that I've actually truly enjoyed. Except for that first 100 minutes, which is just slow and crawling and...
A blurry crawling simulator.
Yeah, what on earth? That aside, this is such an evolved game. I love the combat. I think the open world design really works for this type of gameplay. And at its heart, it's a great action game or a great stealth game, depending on how you want to play it. I'm giving it 4.5 stars as well.
First, put him to sleep.